Yo, what up guys, Raw Scalps here, and in this video I'm reviewing Never Let Go. Alrighty, so the director of this movie is Alejandra Asia. And that's the director. You know, he's done movies like The Hills Have Eyes, Oxygen, Piranha 3D, and a movie called Crawl. Along with that, you have the cast. You know, you have Halle Berry, Percy Daggs IV, and Anthony Jenkins. All right, so when I first saw this trailer, I was like, that looks so dumb. Think about it. They're sitting there in the studio and they're like, all right, so let's make a movie where you have to hold onto the rope and like nothing can get you. No entities can get you. Think that'll be good? You have to like go back to the house and it's like your safe house. Like, just the premise alone is kind of dumb. A rope is going to save you from an entity. Yep. But yeah, so just the premise alone, when I saw the trailer for this, I thought it was so dumb. But, you know, I had to go. I mean, I wanted to go watch it. And so, so yeah, I had low expectations for this. You know, I mean, just that premise alone, I thought it was going to be boring and dull, just generic. But after watching this movie, man, I gotta say, it kind of was, but at the same time, like, it was kind of good. Like I was saying earlier, this movie is basically about a mom and her two kids who live in the middle of nowhere, you know, in the woods. And basically, there's an evil entity trying to get them. But the house they're at is kind of like a safe house. It can't get to them if they're on the property. And if they tie the rope to themselves, then it can't touch them either. And so that's how they're able to go and hunt and do all that, by having the rope. But then some stuff happens where, you know, they start reconsidering what's really good and evil. And from there, the evil ensues. So yeah, that's like the movie, right? The evil can't touch you if you have the rope on. If you take it off, it can come and it can get you and then make you evil in turn. And like I said, the premise I thought was kind of dumb. A rope, a house. Really? Let me just go into some of the pros and the cons about this, and I'll start with the pros. And I think one would be the chemistry, you know, between the mom and the two kids, Percy and Anthony. I think the brothers have a good chemistry in this, and they kind of carry the movie. Along with that, if you can get over the fact that this premise is kind of like dumb or random, and you invest yourself in that world, the story makes sense, and it's a pretty good story, actually. You know, it's suspenseful. That's another thing. It's suspenseful. You want to see what happens. And, like, certain character decisions that affect everyone else. Just stuff like that. I think the story did a good job here. Another thing I'd say is there's, like, I'd say in the middle of the movie, maybe, there's kind of a pretty emotional scene in a way. It's just, golly, the little kid was making sense. There's a scene in here with Percy talking to his mom, and she's trying to make a point, which is valid, but at the same time, he's making a point, which is valid too. And that was like, dang, like after that happened, that scene, and then the following scene, that was just like, golly, that would be tough to do. Just imagining having to do that would be hard. And so that scene, I was sitting there like, dang, bro, like no way that's about to happen. But there was also another scene that I wasn't expecting. Like, something happens in this movie where you're kind of like, dang, that's what this movie's doing. But just all those things, you know, the chemistry, the story, some emotional scenes. I think all that play together to make this movie enjoyable for the most part. But now let me get into some of the cons. And like I said, the story, come on, it's a rope. Tie a rope to me, a demon not going to get me? Come on now. That was kind of dumb. Along with that, the movie was a slower paced movie. You know, they're walking around and doing stuff and whatnot. And then finally, the last thing I'll say is the ending. I think how it's all resolved is kind of, they could have done better. I think that like 1/3 to maybe 3/4 of the movie was good. Like kept you into it and whatnot, and, you know, second guessing things. But then the ending was just kind of cliche, or it wasn't bad. I just thought it could have been better. But that's really it. I mean, this movie, I enjoyed it. I walked out of it like, okay, that was a pleasant surprise. That's how I'd say this movie was. But if I had to rank this, I'd probably give it a Salty Popcorn Award. I don't think this movie's for everyone, and I'm sure a lot of people aren't even going to watch this movie because, I mean, like I said, look at it. Who wants to watch it, honestly? But for me personally, I enjoyed this movie, and it really just depends on if you like slower paced movies and if you like kind of like a suspenseful thriller in a way, suspenseful, I guess, horror. But those are just my thoughts, guys. Comment below if you saw this movie. And sorry for the late post. I was out of town, but thank you guys for clicking on another video, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.